The top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. sees a strong partnership with Indonesia as the nations sign 4 agreements in the area of defense, culture, and economic promotion.
A combined bill relating to SIM card registration has been approved by the House of Representatives Committee on Information and Communications Technology.
The Department of Health denied accusations that they are distributing COVID-19 booster shot doses that have already expired.
Oil companies will reduce gasoline prices by over 3 pesos per liter while slashing diesel prices by around 2 pesos per liter.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Monday, the 5th of September, 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts. I am Harlan Delgado.
First in the news. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. made headlines when he met his Indonesian counterpart, President Joko Widodo, during his inaugural state visit. The president envisioned a strong partnership with Indonesia as several agreements on various areas of cooperation had been sealed. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
During the bilateral meeting with the Indonesian President Joko Widodo, President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. noted how the Philippines and Indonesia are close with regard to geographical location, culture, and ethnicity. The President sees a strong partnership with Indonesia as a result of this.
And I think that it is going to be the strong partnerships that we will make as we slowly come out of the pandemic economy. Is what is going to lead us to success.
President Marcos thanked President Widodo for his willingness to improve bilateral ties between Indonesia and the Philippines. 4 agreements on defense, culture, and economy were signed during his state visit as well. President Marcos said he and President Widodo talked at length about the role the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, should play in this very volatile time in geopolitics. Additionally, PBBM expressed gratitude to Indonesia for supporting President Rodrigo Duterte's infrastructure programs.
And for that, and on that basis, we spoke about the difficulties that we as members of ASEAN face after the pandemic, and this is why trade is such an important part of what we spoke and what we have agreed upon in today's discussions. We continue to thank Indonesia for the assistances and their involvement in the infrastructure programs of my predecessor, President Duterte, and their continuing commitment not only to go on and with these programs, but to increase the volume and the closeness between our two countries.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
More job opportunities await Filipinos in Singapore. Meanwhile, the meeting with Filipino community in Singapore will be one of the highlights of President Bongbong Marcos Jr.'s state visit to the country. From Singapore, Ani Mancilia will tell us the details live. Yes, Annie?
Good evening, Herlene. Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, Secretary Susan Toots Ople announced that additional job opportunities will be available to Filipinos in Singapore. According to Secretary Ople, Facebook Singapore as well as Grab Singapore expressed their interest to hire Filipino workers. Moreover, Singapore Ministry of Health wants to hire more Filipino health workers.
MOH has reached out to us and has expressed their desire to explore ways of recruiting or hiring more of our health workers for employment in Singapore through a possibly hindi pa kasi sarado yung talks and yung pipirmahan namin na document, but possibly through a government-to-government arrangement.
Meanwhile, President Bongbong Marcos Jr. is expected to arrive tomorrow here in Singapore for his second-day state visit. Part of his priority activity during his official visit is meeting the Filipino community on Tuesday at 6 in the evening. The meeting will be held at University Cultural Center Ho B Auditorium at National University of Singapore or NUS. Number of attendees who pre-registered will be limited to observe the safety and security of everyone in the event. Only those who are fully vaccinated will be allowed to enter. Some of our fellow Filipinos already expressed excitement on PBBM's upcoming visit to the city-state.
Siyempre, excited tayo na makita ang ating Pangulo kasi siya yung ating sinuportahan nung nakaraang eleksyon. Maganda rin na mismong marinig ko sa kanya ang kanyang mga pinangako para sa ating mga OFW.
Ako po ay naniniwala na ang pagsuporta, ang paggalang sa ating presidente bilang isang mamamayang Pilipino ay pagsuporta sa bansang Pilipinas. At ang pagkakaisa nating mga Pilipino ang ikauunlad ng ating bansang Pilipinas. Kaya maraming salamat po, Presidente Bongbong Marcos, sa pagbisita sa Singapore.
Meanwhile, PBBM is scheduled to have separate meetings with President Halima Yacob and Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong to discuss the close bilateral relations as well as regional and global issues. Marcos and Lee will also witness the signing of agreements in the areas of counterterrorism and data privacy. Singapore is home to 200,000 Filipino who work and reside in the city-state. 60% of these are professional and skilled workers. 84,000 on the other hand, are domestic workers. Harleen?
Annie, apart from what you mentioned, are there other activities that will be led by President Marcos there in Singapore?
The President will join an economic briefing as well as business roundtable meetings in Singapore. This is to promote the Philippines as an investment destination aimed at creating more job opportunities in the country. Harleen?
Thank you, Annie Mancilia, reporting live from Singapore.
Meanwhile, Vice President Sara Duterte reiterated her position to not show mercy to the enemies of the state. Janice Inhente explains why.
In order to discuss country's peace and order situation, Vice President Sara Duterte met with the head officials of the security sector earlier. According to Duterte, the purpose of the meeting was to strengthen existing coordination and enhance interagency cooperation on issues concerning the country's national security and country's development.
Initially, we discussed the peace and order situation in our country today and how we can maintain the security of our country until President Marcos comes back from his state visits.
VP Sara claims that although there was no threat discussed, there should be no mercy shown to criminals and terrorists.
Our policy against criminals and terrorists and those that support and espouse their ideologies of violence should be hardline. We should show no mercy to criminals and terrorists. The Philippines will only be able to truly recover and build post-pandemic and meaningfully stand with honor and pride as a nation if we successfully address the threats to security.
VP Sara thanked the heads and members of the security sector for their professionalism, integrity, commitment, and undying love for the country and fellow Filipinos. Duterte is the designated OIC of the Office of the President as Marcos is on state visits to Indonesia and Singapore. Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte held a meeting with security officials to discuss plans for Mandatory Reserve Officers Training Corps, or ROTC. A lunch meeting was held to meet with the Philippine National Police, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Philippine Air Force, and the Philippine Navy earlier today. The Vice President also met with officials of the Bureau of Fire Protection, Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, and the Philippine Coast Guard. When asked by the media, Vice President Duterte did not disclose what were the specific issues discussed regarding the ROTC program. The mandatory ROTC is one of the priority agenda of the Marcos administration. Meanwhile, several progressive groups already raised concerns regarding the mandatory ROTC, saying there are legal and constitutional issues surrounding the program.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has advised Europeans to expect a hard winter. Ia de Vera will tell us why, live. Ia?
Kath, Russia's Gazprom announced it will keep its key gas pipeline shut to Europe indefinitely as countries supporting Ukraine accuse Russia of weaponizing energy supplies. According to President Volodymyr Zelensky, Russia is preparing a decisive energy blow on Europeans this winter, putting households, businesses, and economies at risk.
Росія хоче зруйнувати нормальне життя кожного європейця в усіх країнах нашого континенту, хоче послабити і залякати всю Європу, кожну державу, де Росія не може зробити це силою звичайної зброї, робить це силою енергетичної зброї. Намагається ударити бідністю і політичним хаосом там, де поки що не може ударити.
Russia is pointing to the Western sanctions against the country as the cause of the energy disruptions. Last week, Russia also announced it will keep its main gas channel to Germany, the Nord Stream 1, closed indefinitely. Energy ministers of the European nations will meet on September 9 to discuss price caps on imported gas and other measures to get through the energy crisis. Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Ia de Vera, for that live report. High temperatures in California, USA strain the electric grid. Residents were advised to reduce their power use. Miguel Maldez will tell us why.
The worst of the heat has been felt in California's Central Valley from Sacramento to outside of Los Angeles, California, USA on Sunday. Furthermore, temperatures could climb to 109 degrees Fahrenheit and the thermometer could hit 115 degrees by midweek. This dangerous heat wave could afflict the state through the end of the week and test the limits of the electric grid. The California Independent System Operator, or ISO, which oversees the state's electric grid, extended a flex alert to a fifth day, urging state residents to set their thermostats to 78 degrees or higher. If health permits, unplug unused electronic devices and turn off unnecessary lights in order to conserve energy. It added that the state's ongoing wildfires and potential new blazes could further strain the power grid by crippling lines and generators. Meanwhile, the National Weather Service warns residents to stay indoors to avoid heat-related illnesses. Miguel Maldez, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, William.
Thank you, Cass. If demand continues to be low, the Department of Energy says fuel price rollback may continue. This is happening as the country's oil companies implement lower prices for petroleum products. Ashok Kadapan Jr. explains why.
The implementation of lockdown against COVID-19 in China results to a lower demand in petroleum products, while the increase in interest rate in Central Bank of the United States forces some industry to reduce, if not shut down, their operation, which also reduces the demand. The Department of Energy says these are the main reasons for a rollback in fuel prices this week after 2 weeks of oil price hike.
nagkaroon pa rin ng intermittent lockdown ang bansang China. Alam naman natin na malaking consumer na bansa ng petroleum product ang China. So dahil bumaba ang demand nila, but at the same time, yun pa rin mga increases sa interest rates na pinatupad ng Amerika.
Effective tomorrow, prices of diesel will be reduced by 1 peso and 55 centavos per liter, while gasoline will be reduced by 2 pesos and 60 centavos and kerosene with 1 peso and 60 centavos. The DOE says it is early to tell what the fuel price adjustments may be implemented next week, but a forecast projects reduced prices towards the end of the year.
Kung talagang bababa ang patuloy yung ganitong trend na pababa ang presyo dahil bumababa ang demand, so magsusunod-sunod. At saka yun naman din ang forecast ng S&P Global na yung last quarter of the year mag-i-ease daw ang presyo ng produktong petrolyo.
Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
In other news, a group of farmers hope to receive the financial assistance due for thousands of beneficiaries. At the same time, the Department of Agriculture said it is streamlining its registry system. The distribution of cash assistance for farmers and fishermen has been delayed. Ray Pelayo reports.
The Land Bank of the Philippines has already announced that they will begin distributing financial assistance for rice farmers on September 7. More than 300,000 beneficiaries, according to the Federation of Free Farmers, have not yet received the cash assistance, although the distribution has been delayed. This is a portion of the 7.5 billion pesos in assistance that was allocated from 2021 under the rice tariffication law to help farmers who were impacted by the influx of imported rice.
Pangunahing balakid talaga sa distribution ng ayuda for 2021 ay yung pong proseso po ng Land Bank na hindi pa po nila na imprenta yung ID na kasama yung picture ng farmer.
Beneficiaries entitled are those who have 2 or below hectares of land. However, the Federation of Free Farmers stated that because they are also impacted, all farmers should receive financial assistance. This farm worker in Bustos, Bulacan is also hoping that even if she doesn't own any land, she can still receive financial assistance.
Ilang araw sa isang buwan na kayo po ay nagtatanim ng palay?
Ilang araw?
Baba, itong nakaraang buwan, nakailang tanim po? Araw-araw po may tanim naman?
Araw-araw po.
Buti po nakakayanan niyo pa sa ito.
Mahirap lang po kami. Pambili po ng bigas, gamit sa bahay, ganun. Mahirap lang po matikman mo naman yung ayuda. Bago ko magtigil sa bukid. Ganun lang po.
The government allotted almost 9 billion pesos financial assistance for rice farmers this year. Meanwhile, during the budget deliberation of the House of Representatives, Agriculture Assistant Secretary for Operations, Engineer Arnel de Mesa, reported that the department is currently encoding and profiling of beneficiaries listed under the registry system for basic sectors in agriculture or RSBSA. However, ASEC de Mesa said the RSBSA would need 400 million pesos more to complete the digitalization of the registry system.
So 220 million wouldn't be enough. So if the department will be given additional budget for us to complete the digitalization of the RSBSA.
Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Their preparations for the 2022 Barangayan Sangguniang Kabataan or SK elections are over 80% already, according to COMELEC Chairman George Erwin Garcia. They thus want a response from the Congress about the fate of the upcoming elections in light of some proposals for their postponement. Dante Amento tells us why.
The decision of the Congress must be known by the second or third week of this month, according to Commission on Elections or COMELEC Chairman George Erwin Garcia. This has to do with how the barangay and sangguniang kabataan elections will be conducted in 2022. Garcia explained they want a clear direction on the fate of the elections due to several proposals with its postponement.
Ang mga hindi na lang po namin natitira sigurado na dapat namin gagawin ay number one, katulad ng pagtitrain ng mga teachers. Pwede po namin gawin yan ngayong Nobyembre. Number two, yung pong pagpiprint ng mga balota na masisimulan na po namin second week ng September. At pangatlo po siyempre, distribution o yung shipment ng lahat ng election paraphernalia sa iba't ibang parte ng Pilipinas na mangyayari naman po yan mga second week ng November.
By mid of this month, the Commission is set to begin the printing of manual ballots.
Para po sa kaalaman ng mga kababayan natin, tayo po ay mag-iimprenta ng 92 million na balota. 25 million dyan ay para sa mga kabataan, yung SK, at ang 67 million naman po ay para sa mga regular na botante na 18 pataas.
Meanwhile, based on COMELEC Resolution number 10831, the filing of certificates of candidacy or COC will begin on October 6 to 13, 2022, except on September 9, which is Sunday. The election period and gun ban also start on October 6 until December 12, 2022. But those who applied for gun ban exemption in the recent elections, such as justices of the Supreme Court, judges, COMELEC officials, among others, will not need to apply again for the BSKE.
Kesa naman mag-a-apply na naman sila ng exemption para sa gun ban, yung pong lahat ng nabigyan ng exemption ng gun ban nung nakaraang 2022 May ay automatically carried over na sa barangay and SK election yung kanila rin pong gun ban exemption.
The campaign period will be November 25 to December 3, 2022, and the election day is on December 5, 2022. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
A recent pneumonia outbreak in Argentina left the World Health Organization unsure of its cause. However, Argentinian health officials have now figured it out. Marvy Delfin will give us the details live. Marvy?
Many people in Argentina were reported to have suffered an unknown disease with symptoms consisting of pneumonia in the lungs, shortness of breath, fever, abdomen, and muscle ache. Over 11 cases developed in Argentina's San Miguel de Tucumán, and unfortunately, 4 people have died, according to the nation's health minister Carla Bisotti, who expressed her condolences. Up until now, the cause of the symptoms was unknown. However, Argentinian health officials on Saturday identified that Legionnaire's disease was linked to the cases. This disease is caused by the Legionella bacteria, which is commonly found in freshwater habitats. However, it can infiltrate building water systems. Luis Medina Ruiz, the health minister for Tucumán, revealed that those who are 50 years and older are at high risk when exposed to the virus, especially those who are immunocompromised. Symptoms of the disease usually emerge after the inhalation of the bacteria through small droplets in the air, contaminated water, and soil. Kath?
Thank you, Marvy Delfin, for that live report. Dutch researchers have developed a new mobile app that can detect coronavirus using your voice. Some studies have shown that coronavirus affect the upper respiratory tract as well as your vocal cords, which can lead to changes in a person's voice. Using data from the University of Cambridge's COVID-19 Sounds app, the app developers were able to study 893 audio samples from 4,352 participants, where 308 have tested positive from the virus. A user's voice recording will be analyzed by artificial intelligence or AI to determine if they are positive for the virus. The developers say that further research needs to be done before the app can be used by the public. However, once released, the app would be helpful at entry points of large gatherings to enable rapid screening and for poorer countries where PCR tests are expensive and difficult to distribute. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I'm Kat Dumaraos, live from Bangkok, Thailand. Good evening.
The Interagency Task Force held a meeting to discuss its recommendations for the face mask policy. According to the Department of Health, or DOH, the IATF will then give its recommendations to the department amid the issue in Cebu City, where the wearing of face masks was made non-obligatory. The Cebu City government said the executive order on the voluntary wearing of face mask will be under a trial period until December 2022. The said measure will only be lifted if there will be a surge of COVID-19 cases in the city. DOH officer in charge Maria Rosario Vergere said they will immediately inform the public if the Office of the President has decided on what face mask policy will be implemented.
Allegations that the government is ramping up booster vaccination while using expired COVID-19 vaccines were denied by the Department of Health. JP Nunez will tell us why.
The Department of Health asserts that COVID-19 vaccines administered as part of a booster vaccination campaign are not expired. Health Officer in charge Maria Rosario Vergere clarified the situation regarding claims that the government is disseminating expired COVID-19 vaccines. She went on to say that the vaccines have an extended shelf life that has undergone stability research to determine their long-term quality. Additionally, the manufacturers of the COVID-19 vaccines throughout the nation have certified the vaccine's efficacy.
When these vaccines were near expiring already, we coordinated with FDA so that they can coordinate with manufacturers to determine kung pwede ma-extend ang shelf life. When manufacturers extend the shelf lives of vaccines, ito po ay dumadaan sa masusing pag-aaral.
DOH is not yet recommending a deadline for when COVID-19 vaccines will be free for the public. However, as of right now, according to the department, the government has enough COVID-19 vaccines for Filipinos. However, there may come a day when the government decides to only provide free COVID-19 vaccinations to the most vulnerable populations, with the remainder of the population having to purchase the vaccine on the open market.
Dadating tayo sa panahon, hindi ngayon, maybe in the coming years, na itong COVID-19 vaccine ay makakasama na sa ating National Immunization Program. At pipiliin na lang natin kung sino yung mga vulnerable sectors na bibigyan ng ating gobyerno ng libreng bakuna para dito.
JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The House Committee on Information and Communications Technology approves its version of the SIM card registration bill. The Consolidated House Bill 14 seeks require ownership registration of SIM cards to eradicate mobile phone-aided criminal activities and lessen tech scams. Under the proposed measure, every public telecommunications entity or authorized seller shall require an end user to accomplish and sign in a numbered registration form issued by the entity. The entity shall also maintain a registry of all subscribers and their assigned SIM cards, and they shall submit a list of their authorized sellers and agents to the National Telecommunications Commission. The bill also imposes penalties ranging from 300,000 to 1 million pesos depending on the number of offense. In April, former President Rodrigo Duterte vetoed the earlier version of the SIM card registration bill of the 18th Congress due to the provision of mandatory social media registration. Meanwhile, the Senate Committee on Public Services will conduct a hearing on Thursday on the proliferation of personalized tech spams and scams. This as senators express concern on the increase of unsolicited messages to various mobile subscribers. Our Kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
Before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of 1 Thessalonians, chapter 4, verse 3, it says, "For this is the will of God, even your sanctification, that ye should abstain from fornication." The reasons behind the news, September 5, 2022. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Harleen Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.